So Sonic Forces came out 5 years ago as of this video's release, and I feel nothing but pure hatred for this game due to its bad gameplay, level design, reused locations from older games, and a story that rivals Sonic Lost World in the amount of character assassination it's done. You couldn't tell by the way this video has started, I'm going to have an in-depth critique on Sonic Frontiers and explain how it is one of the worst Sonic games ever made. I know some people will think I'm a bit harsh on saying it's the worst Sonic game and then bring up games like 06 or Rise of Lyric, and to that I say those two games feel like there was so much just left on the cutting room floor, and plus those two games take longer than 2 hours to beat. So with all that said, and with no better time to talk about this game, like literally, the game turns 5 and then tomorrow Sonic Frontiers drops the next Sonic game. So with no more tangent ahead, let's review the last mainline Sonic game, Sonic Forces. So we'll start by the first thing that shows up when I press new game. Do you want the game in normal mode or hard mode? Which are labelled as, have you played a Sonic game? Yes or no. As you can see, this game has got up to a horrible start, asking if I was just born, yes or no. Anyway, we start the game in Eggman's lab, and I'm being serious, the first line in this game is literally Eggman saying he hates Sonic.
Sonic, how I hate him.
See, this is foreshadowing how shit this game's writing is. But Eggman is gloating about his invention of the Phantom Ruby, which will let him be able to conquer the world once for all. With even Orbot saying,
The boss means business this time. Oh, I've waited a long time for this. Sonic, that's a good look for you. Festive. So long, friend.
we end the cutscene with an extended shot of this new being in a test tube with the Phantom Ruby ominously glowing. Ooh. After the cutscene, we start Lost Valley with Sonic jumping into Green Hill, which we'll get to later. As we start running, we get a call from Tails saying that Eggman is surging into the city and needs his help, with Sonic saying he's on his way. As we run through Green Hill, we see in the background that the sand is starting to take over, with for some reason those sandworms from Sonic Lost World are in the background, which you never even get to interact with, so why are they even there? This level already tells you what this game's level design is like, linear hallways. I wonder why that is. Oh, I don't know. Maybe if you don't have more than 3 level designers with only 1 working on Lost World. But I thought you guys said it was by the creators of Colours and Generations. But like I said, this game is filled with just straight line paths that never really divert from one another. Honestly, after all that bitching, this level is just fine compared to some of the other levels we have to deal with. And if you're wondering why I've said so little, is because most of these levels last about a minute, leaving nothing to be said, except this level is linear, and I'll say that for probably most of these levels anyway. After Lost Valley, we see a cutscene of Eggman watching as a couple of egg pawns are about to attack Tails, and a couple of civilians until Sonic sweeps in and destroys them all. After defeating the egg pawns, Eggman sets up what he calls his ultimate masterpiece. Sonic thinks he's talking shit, going in for a hit, until something attacks Sonic, setting him off course of Eggman. Turns out it was Shadow, but he's not alone. He's joined by Zavok, Metal Sonic, and Chaos, even though he's dead. But wait, it's that guy from the test tube, and he seems to be the leader of this new group. After he shows up, the scene turns into a 5v1 against Sonic, or well, more of a 2v1 since Shadow just stands there and Zavok is out of the fight after getting kicked once. I don't even know what Metal was trying to achieve. The only one that felt that was helpful was Chaos by getting Sonic stuck long enough for Infinite to kick him. After Chaos and Infinite tag team Sonic, they try and play volleyball with Sonic caught. Like, for real, he's dead! After all that, Sonic passes out with Tails standing there, doing nothing but watching. We then fade to black with the text on the screen telling us that Eggman's taken over the world. Which starts Sonic Forces' second consistent problem being more telling than showing. What I mean by this is throughout a lot of this game, it will tell us something that happens that we never get to see. Like right now, for example, We're just being told that Eggman has taken over the world in 6 months, but do we get to see him slowly but surely take over the world? Now, all we know about this is this text box and characters just saying that Eggman are getting through their defenses stuff. We only hear about this, but we're never shown it. After the text box is finished with its exposition, we meet up with the Resistance consisting of Amy, Silver, and the Chaotix, and the two who aren't in this cutscene being Knuckles and Rouge. I know what you're thinking, wait, that's it? What about Shadow or Omega? Well, Omega is simple, being that in the free prequel DLC for this game being Episode Shadow, we learned that just before the war, Omega got put out of commission by Infinite and stays out of commission until the Resistance final assault on Eggman's base. But now you're probably asking, where is Shadow? Well, we don't get an actual answer because he says he's been in contact with Rouge. But Rouge never told anyone, and Shadow never seemed to help the Resistance since Shadow's an enemy. So what has Shadow just camping out somewhere for 6 months for fun of it? I don't know. Back to the cutscene at hand, we get the info that they've been on a bit of a losing streak since Sonic got defeated in Tails, who apparently lost it, which they never delve into. Charmy chimes in saying that a new recruit is joining them today, with Amy bringing up their file. We then get to create our very own Sonic character, being one of Force's main selling points, which I give props to being this game's best attribute since you have quite a lot of different species, colours and clothes to choose from. I'm happy that this is one of the things that has stuck around in every Sonic game after, starting with TSR with a custom car, then with Colours Ultimate custom gloves and shoes, and Aura, and Frontiers using Colours of Ultimate customization, but adding more so you can use the cuffs of the gloves and shoes, and adding completely different models entirely. But I will say the custom character itself is something I'm not interested in seeing return, which I'll explain later. After creating the avatar, we see Knuckles walking with us, learning from Silver that Knuckles is the commander of the Resistance, which a part of me thinks that's kind of cool since his Echidna ancestors were a clan, and as he's the only Echidna here, he'd take the role as commander. But at the same time, it doesn't work as Knuckles' character, especially now. What I mean by this is, we're in 2017. Not that long ago, Sonic Boom came out, changing Knuckles' character into an idiot. Which I don't mind in Boom, since that was a completely different take on everyone. And in the TV show especially, it works to great effect, really pushing them into their stereotype.
I didn't do it all myself. I had a lot of help. My manager, my agent, my stylist, that little goober with the two tails.
I think he's talking about me.
But its problem is I feel like it spilled into the main series a bit, making Knuckles dumb here, with Knuckles saying shit like he only thought of Operation Big Wave for a minute and a half. I feel like it makes more sense for someone like Amy to be the leader, or since she's the most competent one there, apart from like SBO. It seems like Ian Flynn, a well-known Giga Chad, feels the same since Amy says herself,
I thought Knuckles was the commander of the Resistance.
Oh, he commanded all right. But who do you think kept things organized?
Plus, in issue 9, we see Amy be the one to organise a attack on Neo Metal Sonic. Sorry for going on that tangent, but I felt necessary due to showing how incompetent the writers of this game were. Anyway, Knuckles walks in saying that he's happy to see everyone's alive, even though we never see them leave this room. But he also says that Infinite has got people running in fear, except for us, the Avatar, who survived in battle, who made it here with no injuries. The minute we walk in, Knuckles pats on the back, leading for us to fall forward, which I can't tell if it's meant to be a joke or not. And then getting dissed by Charmy B, which at least Knuckles backs us up by pretty much saying, so are you, shut up, and then giving us a Wispon and saying that they depend on us. If you're wondering what a Wispon is, it's a weapon that the Avatar uses, which uses the power of the Wisp, with the one that we're given at the beginning of the game being the Burst, giving us the ability to gain height to reach higher parts of the level. The other two I used in my recording was the Lightning and the Cube. Lightning worked like a whip and the light speed dash if there's a chain of rings, and Cube making you pound on the ground with everything around it turning into a cube, and then doing it again destroys them. It's pretty pointless because it really stopped your momentum, so I didn't use any after that one. After this cutscene we get a little conversation between the Resistance which happens throughout the game. Anyway, we start the conversation with,
I've just received some incredible news. Sonic is alive.
I'm sorry, what? We're going to tell them now, since in the last two cutscenes there is a dialogue implying that the characters think Sonic is dead. In the third cutscene, Silver says,
Sonic is gone, Amy, and Tails has just lost it.
And in cutscene 4, Knuckles says,
The Resistance in the city is reporting that whatever it is that finished Sonic. Sorry, I'm still not used to saying that.
So maybe it's not the best idea to instantly tell everyone, yeah, no, Sonic's fine, guys. I mean, we know he's alive, but don't tell the characters that until very far into the game at least. Personally, it would be a better idea if they didn't know Sonic was alive until about Operation Big Wave, since the characters will be at their lowest. Having Sonic return could be their big light of hope, keeping them going. Anyway, after the characters find out about Sonic being alive, Knuckles drops a fucking bombshell saying that
He's captured in the orbiting prison. My spy there says he's in a solitary confinement cell. and they've been torturing him for months.
Okay, that's kind of cool, maybe seeing a more angry and maybe a Sonic who's taken the series way more seriously. But we'll see if they can follow up on this. After dropping 2 bombshells, Knuckles explain that they'll go to the chemical plant while they use a shuttle, which in turn will be used to break out Sonic. Onto the Avatar's chemical plant, which is where I feel it's necessary to say that it's pretty bad that the first 2 locations are the exact same location generation. Again, that only released 6 years ago of this game's release, and like the exact same reused locations of Sonic Mania that only released 3 months as of this game's release. The level itself is very linear, which is just putting a load of egg pawns in front of you to use your Wisp on. The only other thing this level starts is the trend of quick time events, which can happen in modern or the Avatar's levels, and if anything they're just glorified cutscenes that only ruin the level's pace. After going through the Avatar's chemical plant, we get a cutscene of Tails in the city trying to fix Omega, which is weird because in the Sonic Forces prequel comics, Omega gets destroyed by Infinite in Arsenal Pyramid, so why is he here? Anyway, we see Chaos creep up behind Tails, and when seeing Chaos, Tails says,
Sonic, help me!
Now, many people say this is character assassination, since in Sonic Adventure, Tails fought and defeated Chaos 4, but it's weird since in Sonic and Knuckles both have to fight Chaos 4, and when Sonic fights Gamma on the Egg Carrier, Tails fights Gamma on the Egg Carrier, which is semi-true since in Amy's story we see Sonic go for the final blow, but Tails stands there in a fighting stance.
Okay, whatever you say.
Okay, if you say so, you have your reasons, I guess.
Okay, I guess I'll let him go then.
I guess Chaos 4, all of Team Sonic were in the fight, not just Tails. Plus, Tails did see Chaos Zero was responsible for Sonic's defeat, but I don't think Tails would just instantly accept defeat and at least attempt to fight back before giving in. Anyway, Chaos is ready to attack, but notices a purple portal to open with classic Sonic running out and homing attack Chaos Zero on the head, and that's all we see of him until the end of the game. I'm serious, like Omega, we don't see him again until the Resistance Final Assault. I know that sounds weird since we saw him be set up as one of the big villains for this game, but we never get to fight him at all. Anyway, we then see classic Sonic from Generations and Mania show up, since the portal from Mania is the same from Forces. Tails sees him thinking it's modern Sonic, but after realizing it's classic, he says,
Oh, you're that Sonic from another dimension, aren't you?
I think what happened was after the Time Meter interfered with the timeline, it split the timeline in half, in a way. My timeline is modern Sonic's timeline, starting with Sonic 1 going through every canon game in the series. The classic timeline, however, is classic Sonic's timeline where the Genesis games, but after Generations, he doesn't go to Adventure, but Mania, splitting the timeline in a way. And now he's in Forces, which is why Tails calls him Alternate Dimension Sonic now. Still doesn't know why he doesn't just call him Classic, but oh well, let's continue. Onto Classic Sonic City level, which is where I want to talk about the game's soundtrack, since every character has their own specific style, with Modern having a similar style to previous Sonic games, like a more rock. The Avatars, who's the only character to have vocal tracks, and Classic Sonic trying to replicate the 16-bit style of music, which each song being varied in success, but most are pretty bad for the series standard quality, with only a couple songs really standing out. The level itself is just a short linear level like every other level, with the only thing to note is that Classic Sonic plays way worse than he was in Generations and Mania, with After a Jump feels like I'm in cement. The minute I land, the only other thing to note is that I beat the level before Tails could finish his line of dialogue.
Careful, Sonic. I'm detecting a ton of readings besides Eggman, too. One is stronger than the others. What could it be?
After the level, we get a cutscene that takes place in between Sonic's defeat and the 6-month time jump, where we see a couple of Resistance members shooting cartoony guns at Infinite until he uses a laser to kill them all. Yes, I said kill, they're dead. But we see one of the guns fly towards the Avatar, who picks it up, but being spotted by Infinite, the Avatar is too scared to shoot Infinite, shooting a little energy ball at them and says,
Give in to your fear. Flee screaming, and I'll let you live.
so they really want him to be like Methless. Maybe that's why they cut him out, because they just act too similar. For the next level, we get a call in from Rouge explaining Eggman's plan, which is now that he's taking over 99% of the world, he's ready to banish Sonic into space. The only thing that's weird is that Knuckles says,
Torturing Sonic just to pass the time. Oh, that's low, even for Eggman.
which isn't true since SA2 when Unleashed he blew up half the moon and then split the world apart, which saves so much worse than just torturing someone. Like, which then shows that Sonic's been locked up on the Death Egg, with Vector making one of the funniest faces and responding with,
The Death Egg? Oh man, That's not good.
And then Knuckles legit saying the funniest shit, saying,
None of this is good, Vector. That's why it's called war.
like, if you want to take your game seriously, don't have characters saying this is why it's called war. Come on, guys. On to the rest of the Avatar's Death Egg level, which is 30 seconds of 3D, the rest 2D except for a sidestepping bit at the end. The only other thing to say that is in this level, characters will speak like they're also on the Death Egg, which we never get to see. They're always over the radio. So SPS says near the end that Sonic's presence is close, which means nothing, since A, he can't be with us since we can't see him, and B, if he's saying that over the radio, that means nothing to us since we're nowhere near him. So after the Avatar's Death Egg level, we get a cutscene of Sonic in his cell with Zavok most likely here, escorting him to his pod to banish him. I just wanted to say, I was gonna just about to talk about how Sonic should have chains around his legs. And I think most people have said that before, but while editing this video, I looked at the footage back, and there is one shot, and it turns out he does actually have chains around his legs. So I guess Forces wins in that case, because my whole point is now meaningless, because he does have chains. And to be fair though, credit to myself, how was I meant to know that? It was in like a really far away shot. Like, you could have like pointed it out a bit more. The next time we see his legs, they're free. So yeah, well yeah, alright, back to the video at hand. And second, I'm going to give you two clips, one from before this game and one in this scene.
Eggman's shell is gone.
That was a mistake.
Whatever. When is it a mistake to take your toys away? Oh, hey, sounds like the party started. Want to let me go and join in? No? Of course not. You hate fun.
Remember how Sonic was apparently tortured? Well, he doesn't seem to be that affected by it since he's just making jokes with Zavok, just like normal. Anyway, on to our first boss, which is against Zavok, and it really shows that Sonic can only move in 8 direct, making not much of a challenge. Plus, it's so annoying on how the way you're meant to attack Zavok up and close isn't by jumping to him, it's for waiting the game to do it for me. Also, I feel the final part of the fight being Sonic just beating up Zavok is cool, but I wish I got to play it. But I'm happy to see Frontiers might be delivering on what happens here. Anyway, after Zavok got beat up, we get a cutscene where this happens.
It's that sound again.
Sonic, why are you mentioning the sound when Zavok, I don't know, just disappeared? After the cutscene, we move on to modern Sonic's Death Egg level, which is pretty boring, with the whole level being 2D onto rails, back to 2D, back to rails until the very end of the level where it's just a quick time event. The only other thing to note is that while Sonic's escaping, we see the Death Egg ahead of us, yet Sonic says he was locked on it, so take that with what you will, I guess. On to the next cutscene that starts with the Avatar being cornered by 3 egg pawns, which shouldn't be an issue since A, we have Wisp-Ons, and B, we have a grappling hook which works like a homing attack. Anyway, Sonic sweeps in and saves them, and now Sonic and the Avatar need to get to a shuttle which is conveniently right next to them, letting them leave pretty instantly. After the cutscene, we get told our next objective by Knuckles, which is that they need an Eggman factory in Green Hill destroyed. Simple enough telling us our objective, but when Vector brings up the Avatar was scared on the deck, he doesn't say that we're, he says we were, implying that everyone was there, but like I've said before, why don't we get to see this? Like, if it's like Big's cameo in SO2, we just see characters like Espio looking through cells in the background to find Sonic. Anyway, we're then put in our very first tag team stage, which actually plays Sonic and the Avatar at the same time, which to me only shows how similar these two play, with Sonic having the boost and the Avatar having the Wisp-On, to only slightly make them different. So this level has nothing special, since when you get into the interior with the Lightning Wisp-On, you can skip whole chunks of the level with ease. Plus, isn't it weird how the level just ends with us standing there? Why don't we instead run out of the pyramid and we have the camera ahead of us while we're running, the pyramid explodes? I don't know, it's cooler than just standing there, I guess. Anyway, now that the base is destroyed, we get a radio call from Amy saying that Silver is fighting Infinite. Could end up fixing one of my key problems, being Sonic's friends do pretty much nothing, but we'll see if they'll go through with it when we get to it. So it's Mystic Jungle stage, and for a majority of it, the level was playing itself, with me only needing to hold down the boost button. The only other weird thing to add is that after the snake encounter, and instead of finishing the level, we'll just run backwards. There's a radio call from Amy telling us that Infinite is close by, and the only reason I got this was by exploring somewhere you don't even need to go, and you won't explore if you don't just play the level normally. Anyway, we were at the fabled Infinite versus Silver cutscene, and
Your lies? Huh.
that lasted 10 seconds. I'm being serious, the entire encounter lasted an entirety of just 10 seconds. Remember in Sonic 06 when after being beat by Sonic he caught him off guard and nearly killed him twice with Shadow and Amy stepping in to let him escape? Yeah, no, that Silver is dead and has been swapped out with someone who got one punch by Infinite and needed Sonic to fucking save him. Anyway, Sonic saves Silver from death and Infinite just decides to be a try-hard edgelord with him saying shit like,
You reek of fear. Glad to see I left an impression.
oh yeah, and I love how Sonic asks Infinite what the source of his power is, which is such a stupid question because it cleared the ruby on his chest due to how it reacts when Infinite uses power. After Sonic asks Infinite what the source of his power is, he then punches Sonic onto a snake, starting this first boss fight with Infinite. Like I've said throughout this review, these levels are way too short to actually give reviews like Mania. Every level is about a minute long. The boss is incredibly easy since after you hit him once, you can just boost again and do it again, making it an incredibly easy cycle. Because I beat him so fast that I got to the point on where my attacks were doing no damage since I wasn't meant to beat him this quickly. After beating up Infinite, we get a cutscene of him saying that Sonic's stronger, but he'll still lose because he threw 2 energy balls at us and 1 hit us, leading to us to fall off, meaning he won apparently. Okay. Oh, and Sonic is confirmed in this cutscene to be actually brain dead.
I gotta figure out the secret of his power.
Sonic, you and Silver saw Infinite move his hands to show off the ruby after you asked him what the source of his power was. I think you should take that as a hint that that is the source of his power. After that disappointment of a battle, we catch up with classic Sonic and Tails saying that Eggman's monster, aka Infinite, got Sonic, meaning that Tails has no contact with the rest of his friends, which they just never explain. But their plan is to defeat Eggman so the war will be over, and right as they say that, Eggman is being picked up on their sensors. A bit convenient, but could be worse. Now on Classic's Green Hill, which has nothing to note about it except this pretty terrible music. Here, take a listen. Also, Green Hill looks better here than the tag team and the modern level. After revisiting Green Hill for the 3rd time, we see classic Sonic and Tails overhearing the conversation between Infinite and Eggman, just in the middle of Green Hill, even though Eggman has a base. And what we learn from this cutscene is that Eggman has a Phantom Ruby prototype, which doesn't make much sense by what Mania says. Eggman didn't create the Phantom Ruby, so why are there Phantom Ruby prototypes all of a sudden? Hello, editor me again. I realised I never pointed out something that I actually really like. I like how Infinite gets reprimanded for letting Sonic live, which I just never brung up at all.
Which reminds me, didn't you run into Sonic there after he escaped?
Yes, but he was powerless against me. There is no need for concern.
You let the hedgehog live? That is a great source of concern!
Oh, and also, why does Infinite say this?
He has beaten you for decades.
What is the Sonic timeline anymore? I give up. Aside from that, we learn Infinite is a lying bitch as he tells Eggman that he defeated Sonic, which he's referring to his first fight. Maybe since he had a group, so it wasn't entirely his win. And B, if he's referring to the fight in the Mystic Jungle, you lost. All you did was shoot Sonic with an energy ball, and that's it. Anyway, after another cutscene filled with inconsistencies, we get a fight scene against Eggman with it starting with Sonic 1s and then bringing back the Egg Dragoon last seen in Sonic Generations, and the boss itself is tragically easy. Like, I think I actually phased through a couple of his shots, like genuinely, have a look. After the boss we get a cutscene of Eggman gloating about his big plan which will kill everyone in 3 days, a la Sonic Heroes. Give Eggman this, at least he doesn't tell them what it is, leaving a little bit of suspense. A la Sonic Heroes. After hearing that Eggman has a big plan, we catch up with the Resistance, who needs the Avatar to go into the city and help out civilians. Now in the Avatar's city level, our objective seems to be help civilians in the city, and before you get your hopes up, we never get to save anyone, we just play through an ordinary Sonic level, and we just apparently save people. Okay then. The level itself is just like the rest, very boring, and it also has a fucked up traffic. So after we beat the level, we get a mini little radio saying we did such a great job and we're the coolest. Fuck off. To Sonic calls all the kids playing this game they're the coolest, we go back to classic side quest, which is just consists of Tails being hyped that Sonic's alive. So our objective is to go to the Mystic Jungle since they know Sonic fought Infinite there, meaning he would still be there. Although that happened yesterday and you know Infinite was in Green Hill, so why would you think Sonic is still in the Mystic Jungle? With this knowledge we move on to Classic's Mystic Jungle level, which has one robot in it. That's all I'm going to say about Classic Sonic's Mystic Jungle level. Moving on. So as we see that Rouge has caught Tails and Classic Signal, but don't know it's them, so they ask the Avatar to check it out. Now on the Avatar's Mystic Jungle level is pretty boring. Like when I bought a Sonic game, I asked my OC to just play on the slide and make an actual water level Sega. The other thing to bring up about this is if they copy and paste it for the episode Shadow DLC. After another level of being underwhelmed, we get a cutscene of the Avatar picking up the Phantom Ruby prototype that Infinite dropped in his battle with Silver. Picking up the Ruby, we see Classic Sonic and Tails catch up to us. Okay, wait, didn't we go here because Classic and Tails were already at the lab? So how did we get here first? We then cut back into the Resistance base with Sonic and Tails finally reuniting, and I feel like really off-putting that no one can say dead. Just say
Sonic is gone, Amy.
I was so worried. I thought you were...
Also,
It's been generations since I seen you. You okay?
fuck you. Also, is no one going to question why Classic is here? No? Okay. Then get a radio call from Tails who's about to explain what he knows about Eggman's plan, but Vector books in saying that Shadow is attacking the troops. We get told this, Knuckles wonders why Shadow is helping Eggman, which means they still think that's the real Shadow. It seems that Sonic never told anyone that Zavok just disappeared after their battle, and Rouge is still yet to bring up that she's been in contact with Shadow this entire fucking time. After some more brain dead writing, we're on to Sunset Type, the first level they ever showed off for this game, and apart from that little fun fact, this level just on how they tease you with the 3D, and just 30 seconds in you're in 2D and you stay in 2D. So I tried getting a red ring at one point. I died twice for no boost, which wouldn't have been a problem with the air dash. The second time I overshot, which again wouldn't be a problem if I had the air dash. But when we get to Shadow, we get a cutscene of Sonic confronting Shadow, which makes Shadow instantly go in for an attack with Sonic putting his hands in front of him. I'm sorry, what? Sonic, what are you doing? You move out of the way, you dipshit. So he gets saved by the real Shadow, who just kicks him in the face, which instantly defeats him. Afterwards, Shadow tells Sonic that he was a fake. Meanwhile, Sonic is being animated poorly. Like, look at... They didn't even animate his eyebrows opening on screen, they cut. The fuck? In the radio boxes afterwards, it's just exposition from Shadow. As he confirms that he's been in contact with Rouge, which never makes anyone go, Rouge, why didn't you tell us this? But everybody acts like he didn't say it at all. After our exposition dump, Knuckles decides now is the best chance to claim Metropolis with a full frontal assault known as Operation Big Wave. And now I bet you're thinking, well, Knuckles is actually a pretty good leader, but wait until you hear this line.
Who cares what it's called? What's important is to have a well-thought-out strategy.
I thought up this strategy in about a minute and a half.
Is this meant to be a joke because I don't get it, or is it trying to be look, Knuckles is stupid joke? If it is, Ruin's taking him seriously as a commander, and if anything it makes everyone else stupid since nobody steps in and says he's a terrible commander, so everyone goes along with it. And we'll see the results of that just in a little bit. We're on to the Avatar's Metropolis stage, which isn't great on its own, but shows off how terrible that cube Wisp-On is. Its stops and start mechanic makes me never want to use it again. That's why I just use the burst straight after it. So I love this game's fucking terrible accelerations. Most of the time it sends me straight off a cliff. The level itself is just straight line. There's nothing actually that impressive. Where this level really gets frustrating is the dialogue. Is where we hear this great news.
This is Eagle Squad. We're caught in enemy crossfire. Snake Squad requesting reinforcements. This is Fox Squad. We can't hold out much more.
80% of our forces have been wiped out. We've lost contact with the rest.
You just love it when all your main characters are incompetent idiots who didn't question Knuckles when he said he spent a minute and a half on this plan. It's sad when Dr. Eggman, the main villain, is now my favourite character in this game since he actually takes things seriously. But his only problem is he doesn't show up that often. After the Resistant nearly dies, the Avatar finds Infinite on top of the tower, with the Avatar fearful of. Doesn't make sense with its low-down narrative dissonance. What I mean by this is in cutscenes we're meant to fear him, but in gameplay he's piss easy. The Avatar gets encouragement of what Sonic once said to him, which is what I assume is happening because Sonic never said this in the game. Seriously, go back, check throughout the cutscenes, he never said this to him. Now we're ready to fight Infinite for a second time. Let's hope it's a bit more challenging. Oh. Okay then, well after the painfully easy boss, we get to see the prototype Phantom Ruby that the Avatar picked up, and they use it to avoid being killed by a cannon accidentally. As we go forward, and now that I've got my main points across, a lot of this will be quick since a lot of this game's worst is mostly behind us with only the odd pieces of shit now and again. Well, after Operation Big Wave failed, they decided to collect intel that Shadow was looking for and decided to send Classic Sonic since Modern Sonic has just got back from the city and the Avatar has just come back from Metropolis. Well, onto Classic's chemical plant, and it just makes me sad more than anything since I remember there's a better Sonic game which refines the previous installments and doesn't make bastardize it in every way. So it shows you don't gain speed from down slopes, and Classic Sonic is Spider-Man since he just sticks to walls at points. What the fuck is going on? To collecting the intel we needed, we get a radio call giving exposition on the Phantom Ruby, and you know what, I'll let Tails explain it.
A weapon that takes control of people's visual and depth perception to feed false information to the brain, creating a new reality for them. Like a dream so real if you bump yourself in it, your sleeping self will bruise? It's hard to believe.
Yeah, that. Meanwhile, we get news about Metal Sonic being in the city, and with no hesitation, Sonic decides him and the Avatar should go and make a deal with him. Now with our objective explained, we're off to fight Metal Sonic, but before we fight, we get attacked by a Death Egg robot, which is pretty cool since we actually fight it, is what I would be saying, but all you do is double jump and have a quick time event. That is literally it. What was I expecting? It's Sonic fucking Forces, for God's sake. Anyway, with that said, we fight Metal Sonic, and honestly, what do you want me to say? There's nothing to pick apart, like, all you do is destroy some robots or don't get hit by a laser and then hit him, and that's it. And that underwhelming boss number 5 is defeated. We get Sonic saying a terrible joke and then he fist bumps the Avatar. Literally, I'll show you.
Hey, that was great! We're like a well-oiled machine. Fighting a well-oiled machine.
With that terrible cutscene accounted for, we get a radio call from Tails who says he's got a plan to deactivate the Phantom Ruby, which is to pretty much blow up the Death Egg so it can stop giving power to the Phantom Ruby. With the plan set, the Avatar is sent to Green Hill as a distraction so Modern Sonic can turn off the defences in Chemical Plant for the Death Egg, so Classic can easily finish it off. The level itself already knew it was padding the game's runtime out because all it is just basic 2D plat shitty quick step sequence. Oh shit, I also forgot the funny quick time event. My god, if I had forgotten that fucking quick time event. There's nothing to say about this radio chat since it repeats what our objective is, but there is one weirdly violent line that Sonic says.
Perfect. I've been waiting for my turn to bust some heads.
Anyway, we're now on to the second part of this third part plan, and just like Sunset's High, they clickbait you with a fully 3D beginning, but about 30 to 40 seconds in, it turns to 2D and stays 2D. Anyway, I'm actually surprised because of Sonic's meme status at this time. I'm surprised they didn't go for a vector computer room joke. I'm not going to discuss this radio call because it just tells me what you already know. It's for people who could pick up and play games. So yeah, on to the next level, I guess. So we're at the finale of Tails' plan, and wait, hang on, why are there still defences after Modern Sonic turned them off? Oh, well that's simple.
Probably switched over to auxiliary power.
So let me get this straight, I had to play through the Avatar and Modern Sonic for specific objectives for this plan to be pointless, because Eggman swapped the power, which is something you knew about. Fuck you, Tails, you useless piece of shit. The level itself is decent, it reuses a lot of gimmicks from Sonic 3. Now that we've completed Classic's Death Egg level, we get a cutscene of the Death Egg blowing up with millions of innocent people inside, since we never saw the prisoners from Modern Zavok fight ever be set free. So that means they're all dead, not clickbait. On Eggman's end, we get Orbot and Cubot do something, that's about it. And then we see Eggman say that he needs to remobilize his forces with Infinite, with them just in Green Hill for some reason. Why? You have a base, Eggman! After this, we have a radio chat with the Resistance believing that now is a better chance than ever to take down Eggman since the Phantom Ruby has sustainably been weakened. Now we're at Sonic's Metropolis level, which has the exact same structure as Modern's Chemical Plant, except there's a 10-second 2D section. Also, this level finally is where I have my analogy for this game's whole levels. Every level in this game feels like a level in Colours where you go through the same area twice, and they'd usually be a minute long anyway. That's this whole game, just replaying those pieces of levels I did 5 minutes ago. Look at Sunset Heights and Park Avenue. This is the exact same level. After calling this game out again, we move on to another cutscene where we see Eggman and Sonic interact for the second time in this whole game, Anyway, Eggman pulls out a surprise attack, being a portal to a place known as Null Space, which apparently was made by the Phantom Ruby, not by Eggman, the Phantom Ruby. Eggman setting off not so long after Sonic starts getting sucked in, which he doesn't really prevent except just standing there thinking, like, what, fucking sticks to the floor? Like, that's not how it works, Sonic. It's a black hole. You've dealt with them before. On the top of the tower, Convenient shows up when the Avatar shows up to pull out Sonic until... But Tails doesn't understand since we destroyed the Phantom Ruby's power source, but Eggman explains, saying,
I had a backup power source created under Metropolis.
Meaning that Tails' plan in the end ended up being something that padded out the game's runtime. Fucking great. This is what I want in my Sonic game. Fucking padding! After being dropped a bombshell that we've been playing a filler, we're in a new location being Null Space, which looks cool. Honestly, really cool. I'm happy that Cyberspace is doing the exact same type of style. But let's see what this level has to offer.
Contain the two of us at max power, not even Null Space. Sup, everyone? I missed this place.
What happened, Sonic? You two just up and disappeared.
Nothing happened. Literally.
This is it. This is where Sonic Forces dies, proving that it's a video game definition of clickbait, when it's showing this fact twice. First being that Shadow and Chaos was advertised as characters you get to fight, but get one shot in a cutscene and never seen again until the final battle. And now promising a new original location just being used as a way to double boost segment. I'm done. This level fucking sucks. It's just a lot of rail grinding with you sometimes being forced to fight enemies. Moving on. After the level, we're put into another cutscene with Eggman confused on how Sonic and the Avatar escaped Null Space, which doesn't feel like a big deal if all you need to do is run, have a friend, and that's about it. Like, you could have got Sonic and Shadow. Oh wait, Sonic and Shadow aren't friends, you stupid idiot. The mandates say otherwise. Never mind. So they end up letting Eggman get away, which is pretty annoying since Knuckles literally told us.
We can capture Eggman. We win.
But I don't care, I'm just beating a dead horse with this game at this point. Well, even though Sonic and the Avatar didn't catch Eggman in Metropolis, it seems that Shadow believes that they need to break into Eggman's fortress since Eggman's big plan is less than an hour. Finally, someone with a solid plan. So Tails is apparently sad that classic Sonic will return home after the battle.
Thank you for everything, Sonic. I'll never forget what you did for us.
Wait, what? Classic Sonic has done pretty much nothing. I forgot he exists half the time, and also I have a personal headcanon that makes this game better, which is Classic Sonic doesn't really care about this, and he just wants to get home quicker by helping these dickheads. But this, honestly, the worst cutscene in the game, but shows off this game as a whole in a nutshell. Let me explain. First of all, why does the cutscene look like it's from Sonic Colors on the Wii? Also, it seems to be a PC problem, only since and everything else, which shows they were too lazy to make things look presentable. Thank you, Sega. I like rushed garbage. Second, when I can clearly see the same Osu model about 12 times, I think it's a problem. Also, I love how some of the characters in the background will do the exact animation at the exact time, like right next to each other. It's really funny. Third, why is there just a lack of animation? Like, Shadow is just nudging them. How come Zavok, when he starts going up, he's still in his running animation? What the fuck is going on? Animate your game, Sega! What the fuck? Also, this is my favourite shot, since it shows how low budget and specifically low effort really is. There is no sense of emotion, except some may clench their fist, but you won't even see it, and that's about it. Oh, Omega showed up. Sorry if you're wondering who fixed him, it's never said. He just shows up and then re-says like the best line in the game.
Omega, you've joined us? Awesome.
Anyway, after this confrontation with Infinite, Eggman shows what his big plan was, which was, well, I'll let the game explain it pretty much.
The sun will fall upon you all. Boom. The end. Your pathetic lives are over.
We cut to the Avatar, which you're wondering why it doesn't look like we're on the Wii. It's because this cutscene's in real time, so it makes every cutscene look slightly better. Besides that, we learn that the Avatar activated one of the Phantom Ruby prototypes because they're cool, I guess, and Tails believes he can use it to destroy the sun, then kill everyone. With the objective set, we're onto our final Avatar stage, and it's completely 2D. Yeah, the Avatar send-off level, they couldn't even bother making it any 3D section. That's all I have to say about there's literally nothing else to say, except there's like a laser that follows you, and you're always going to be quicker than it, so there's literally no stake. Here it is, Eggman's big plan in action. He's actually going to kill them, and...
One.
Everyone looked like they're watching the fireworks. No, like, they're gonna die. Like, Sonic, Amy, the copy-pasted OCs would show more emotion than you two. Obviously, the avatar stops it with them also having, for some reason, a close-up of Shadow smiling like it's something that he's never done before, except he did it in the last shot we saw him in. If this Knuckles sees a turning point to win this war once and for all, then it might mean something if they didn't say this about 100,000 times at this point. But with a new sense of hope being created, we move into our final modern Sonic level. And it's honestly my favourite level due to the only reason that it's entirely 3D. No clickbait, it's actually just fully 3D. I still don't think it's great, it's still Sonic Forces, so it still has its actual problems. Like, there's like a huge part with multiple pathways where you can literally just fly over. But it has potential. It shows that the spirit of colours and generations is still there, but they're clearly just burnt out. Anyway, on to the next level. After a decent level, we meet up with Infinite again, who believes even though the Ruby has been weakened, he has enough power to defeat Sonic, which he explains by saying,
I still have enough power to smash you into blue jelly.
This game is just filled with tonal whiplash, I swear. So here we are, our final battle with Infinite. Yes, I said final battle because Sega was too hesitant to make the new villain the final boss. Again, I wonder what his final battle will be. You will be happy to know it's just the Metal Sonic boss, like it's 1 for 1. They were so unoriginal they couldn't give the villain they were promoted throughout the hell of this game an actual original boss, and not something recycled. Also, it has one merit, the way he fucking dies. It is the funniest shit.
Join forces, the sky's the limit. Double boost.
After the sad defeat of Infinite, we have Sonic just go, we won because we have friends lol, and Infinite just, well.
No, wait. I can still fight.
Yep, that's it, we never see him again. Anyway, after Infinite's death, Eggman shows up saying that his plan's gone into overtime, which is weird since I feel like it should have happened after they stopped the sun. You know, your big plan you've been hyping up this entire time. After that, I feel like you'd be going into overtime since he failed. So we're now on our final classic Sonic level, which they decided to make a good chunk of an auto-scroller, which has never been a thing up until now, so I don't know why they did this. It just makes it really fucking unfun. If anything, I'm sad that Classic got dragged into this, since he had no real reason of being here. Like, he just feels like a huge Mania advertisement, which that's the only reason I think he is here. Kinda sad if you think about it. So we're at the final level, which is a tag team level, and it's so incredibly short, it feels like a huge chunk of the level was taken out at the last minute. Like, let me tell you exactly word for word on what happened. You start by sidestepping a bunch, doesn't seem to register half the fucking time, which leads into a 10-second of rail grinding, then back to sidestepping, then destroy the machine, which is incredibly easy, and then you double boost to leave, and then that's the end of the level. Literally, that's what you do. You see what I mean? It feels weirdly short for the final level of the game, but oh well, who really cares? My headache's nearly over. I've been recording for like a week. I just want it to be over now. We're finally onto our final cutscene, but before the fight, it is revealed by Eggman that
The fortress reactor was just a decoy.
once again, that was all for nothing. Brilliant, but it explains that Eggman incorporated the Ruby into what he calls the Death Egg robot, which A, isn't on the Death Egg, and B, it looks nothing like a Death Egg robot. It looks more like the Nega Wisp armor from Sonic Colors. Sonic's response to this is so terrible, you can hear Roger's voice giving out near the end of the line. It's that bad. Here, give it a listen.
Your plan will end like all your plans do, with you sitting in a pile of busted robot parts wondering how you failed so badly.
And after this, they awkwardly run at it, with Tails making a pose, and now, here we are, the final boss, the Death Egg robot, which is split into 3 phases for each character. First phase is Classic Sonic, which is literally the exact fucking same as the Egg Dragoon's second phase, as if it's easier since they throw 2 rocks at you, beating it quicker. Since there's nothing to say about Classic's phase, we move on to the second phase, which is the Avatars, which wants you to attack its hand, but again, it's really easy if you have burst, since its health bar drains quicker with you just firing at it. So yeah, the first Wisp-On you get in the game is the best one. I'd just like to note that you shouldn't just break the ground without a warning, since most people will probably die if they weren't expecting it. You know, try to give some Beast Bracelet wisdom. And now we move on to its third and final phase, which uses the same boss style as Sonic Colors and Lost World. And also, are we just pretending that the Chaos Emerald don't exist, with a plot where Eggman's taken over the world, wouldn't the Chaos Emerald be pretty useful right now? So yeah, I have nothing to say except to nitpick, and oh, if you fail the triple boost at the end, you have to redo a bit. Yeah, at the final bit of the game, they learned how to make a challenge. Too bad the game's over now, and we're going to cut straight to the credits. After Eggman's defeat, which we don't know what happened to him, we get what I feel was meant to be a sad scene, but I can't get over how Classic Sonic pretty much do a "I'm out of here" meme. And also, Classic Sonic didn't even do anything, and then Sonic says,
Cheer up, Tails. I'm sure we'll run into him again.
well, after what happened with Origins, I'm highly doubtful, so maybe you can finally rest. But after Classic dips, Sonic legit says,
Alright guys, it's time we cleaned up the mess that Eggman left this world in. And I'm not talking about those illusions he dreamed up for us. We need to fix the real world we all live in.
I know Sonic has always had this whole nature versus technologies thing ever since the beginning, but it was never this in your face about it. After watching 10 minutes of unskippable credits that you need to watch for your defeat of the final boss to count, we get an epilogue cutscene. At one point, Silver says,
Hold on, there's still a lot we need to do. We're just getting started.
Anyway, the Avatar decides to leave for some reason, and everybody just goes on about how far you've come and how it was a team effort, except only 3 people did anything with the rest of you sitting on the sidelines. To this, the Avatar meets Sonic for one last fist bump, with him afterwards just running, so I guess he's not going to help his friends, okay, you dickhead. After Sonic runs, the Avatar looks ahead, runs straight forwards off an edge, and grapples straight towards the camera, with it in fading to black, ending the game. So that was Sonic Forces, the worst Sonic game ever made, with literally no one caring, with even the producer, Shan Nakamura, saying all you need to do is hold the boost button so you can dash like a maniac. No joke, he actually said that. I was originally going to mention the episode Shadow in the social media comics, but honestly, I'll just give you a quick summary because I really don't want to talk about anything to do with this game anymore. Social media comics try, but unfortunately are too short to explain much, but Ian Flynn really tries to write something great, and he sure tries. Like, there's just unfortunately nothing to go at. Episode Shadow was just a lot of radio dialogue, 1 cutscene and 3 reused levels. Yeah, that's about it. There's nothing much to say. In conclusion, this game is wasted potential since this game has one of the best concepts for a Sonic game, and they gave it such a low budget with level designers who haven't worked on a Sonic game and writers who publicly stated that they used wikis to know these characters. After hearing me tear apart something you may have used to like before watching this video, I want to give you some other Sonic products that do what Forces do, but make it good. If you want a better game, play Sonic Generations or Unleashed. Quick disclaimer about Unleashed, I know the Werehog can turn people off from it, which I get, and if it does, you should just play Generations then. If you're looking for the better story, which have been going on for a while, play Sonic Unleashed or read the IDW comics by Ian Flynn, specifically read issue 13 to 32. My final verdict on this game is that soon I can think of a hopefully good game when I think of what was the last Sonic game, so Sonic Forces getting sad and depressing 1 out of 10. Oh, and I forgot to give Mania a number score last time. I'd give it like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. You may have noticed we're not at the end of the video yet. Well, I want to talk about the Sonic game that is literally right around the corner. This one might feel a bit different for the rest of the video because I'm making this a bit more unscripted, but yeah. Sonic Frontiers comes out tomorrow and I kind of wanted to talk about it. For starters, let's go over like the story. It looks pretty good, honestly. I can't lie, this game looks really great. Ian Flynn seems to really put his style into this story. It looks fun. It looks like an IDW comic come to like into the games. Roger's voice, God, he's very deepened his voice. Like, I feel like he's deepened it, but it still sounds like Sonic. It's not too deep that it just sounds like Roger Craig Smith doing a deep voice like he does in multiple other games that he plays. But I think it works. I'll put a couple like lines up and I'll see what you guys think.
Yeah, okay, sure. How about a little context? Whoa.
So we're gonna go into cyberspace. I don't really like a lot of what we've seen from cyberspace. There are levels that I like, but they usually just copy pasted from like SA1 or SA2 or just Generations. But that's not good. Apparently there's one that's like 2 to 3 minutes, but I think that might just be like Skyro from SA2. So, yeah, and it's also just nostalgic levels. Apart from that like one city level that they put in, that doesn't look too bad. I like the style of it. It looks really cool, but I've still got to see more of it. But yeah, it looks okay. pretty bad. I don't know how much I'll be playing of it. The combat it looks pretty fun. I'm just worried it'll be a bit more button mashy. I think that was a bit of a problem with like the Werehog. That was also a bit button mashy. Same with like Shadow's attack from 06. Those two were just incredibly button mashy and probably ruined a lot of the pace of that game. So I do like how many like more of attacks you get. You get quite a lot, and it seems pretty fun. The enemies look fun. I'm not a big fan of the huge ones because I like the more hand-to-hand combat ones like Ninja. And the last bit is the open world segment. The open world looked fun. The puzzles from what we've seen on like Kronos Island don't look great. Like they just seem a bit basic. I know, like a kid's game, like rated 7. Hope like later in like the later ones like Chaos Island and whatnot, there's a bit more of a challenge and whatnot. So the map does look huge. It just has a huge looking pop-in problem, even in that really like early build that we saw, which was pretty atrocious. Now the game looks better, but the pop-in doesn't really look like it's got well. I do think the whole open world thing could work for future Sonic games, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this new like concept is. I'll probably be live streaming it on my Boost Bros live channel like I did for Origins, but unlike Origins, I'll probably just do the whole game. Just follow my Twitter and my live channel so you know when I'm going to be live streaming that. But yeah, overall, Frontiers looks like a huge improvement. I'm very excited for it. I just don't want to get my hopes up. People have been saying it's going to be peak fiction, best Sonic. I want it to be a 6 or a 7 out of 10. That's all I want. A decent Sonic game. And I think we could get that. So, yeah. I'm going to give, like I did for Movie 2, which I think is poorly aged on what I gave it. Sonic Frontiers will be a 7 out of 10. I think it'll, if it doesn't work all the way, at least I can see a concept, hopefully. But yeah, thank you all for watching. There's probably like 50, like could be an hour at this point, I don't know. But thank you all for watching. I'm really happy that you've got to the end. And well, I'll see you next time, probably in some Frontiers review, because I'm stuck with Sonic at the moment. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe and like button so you can share this around, because I work really hard on it. But anyway, see you next time. Goodbye.